Welcome to Secular Soup. Stay tuned for real talk about atheism, feminism, politics, parenting, and whatever the fuck else Amy and Amy want to talk about, because this is their show. And get ready for a whole lot of motherfucking profanity.
You want to hear a secret?
I won't tell anybody. Go ahead. If I sit next to you, I'm going to get gonorrhea. It's going to jump into me. Just two ladies hanging out.
Is it okay for me to make fun of his neck waddle if I make fun of my own neck waddle?
I'm not sure.
That's a real ethical conundrum.
Would you know if you were born a lizard person, or can you be like adopted into the...
I think you know.
We're such professionals.
We really are.
Buckle up, bitches. It's time to have some soup.
Hey, soup fans. This is Amy with a Y. Amy with an I is not with me because we did not record an actual episode this week. We were at Skepticon this past weekend and we had such a blast, but that meant that we had to come back home and catch up on our real lives. So this week we were scheduled to record an interview with Zach from the Zachrilege podcast, who we've talked to 2 or 3 times before, I think. If you go back and look his channel up on YouTube, Zachrilege podcast, or I think there's just the audio version you can find on your podcatcher. You'll find some other interviews with us, but Amy and I were going to do a recap of Skepticon and what was awesome about it, and we got some schedules mixed up, and it ended up being just myself and Zach. So hopefully Amy with an I will be on his show soon so she can do her recount of Skepticon and how fucking awesome it was. But for now, I'm just going to share this episode with you because, frankly, Amy and I don't have time to record again this week. We did record an epic episode while we were at Skepticon. There were about 15 people in the room. It was just bonkers. So Rich is working on that as we speak. It was a clusterfuck, so I have no idea how long it's going to take him to get through that. I feel so bad that he's having to deal with that, but it should be pretty amazing once we get that episode out. So that should be next week's episode. But for this week, I guess enjoy Zach and I having a talk about Skepticon. I am not going to go through the patrons this week because it is late at night, and frankly, I forgot to open up my patron feed. So enjoy this. Next week, I will make sure to do a proper intro with a thank you to all of our patrons. We have so many fucking awesome patrons. We have new ones, and now I feel bad that I'm not reading them. But we only have, I think, 4 more to go before we do our next live drunk cast. So if you want to sign up on Patreon at patreon.com/secularsoup, if we get 4 more new patrons, we will do a second live drunk cast on YouTube. You can see the first one on our YouTube channel at the Secular Soup YouTube channel. But I think that's all I have for now. So sit back, relax, enjoy this episode that I did not have to do much for. See you next week.
To the Zachrilege cast. Only one Amy so far. We might have 2. Can't tell the difference between them anyway, because,
True.
Women in podcasting, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Does it even happen? So we're going to get started. So the thing is, usually with the show, I try to do out of context quotes, and sometimes it's hard to do. And when you do approximately 45 seconds of that episode with you and Eli Bosnick, yeah, I had
so many good ones.
So much. So I may, I'll just start here. We had no topics. We had no ideas. You can take Jew gold anywhere in the world.
Was that mine?
This is not out of context. This is totally accurate right here. Why are men so bad at podcasting?
Yeah. I wrote that question down. I have it on a piece of paper. It was the only interview I ever prepared for. I actually had badly written penciled in notes. So, yeah.
We don't like to talk shit on this podcast. There you go.
Uh-huh.
And if I were a Nazi, here's what I would say.
Fair. Yeah, I feel like it was probably me with the Jew gold thing, because I say that way too much because I always think it's funny. And one of these times it's just not going to be funny because the wrong person's going to hear it. I love to do it with Michael Schaefer because he actually is Jewish, and I guess Eli is too, but I'm a horrible, horrible person. I don't hate Jews, just for the record. I want people to know this. Now you've got another out of context quote. I don't hate Jews.
It's a beautiful thing. We'll get to who do you hate, but we're going to work up to that. Now, sadly, other Amy isn't here, so we only can get one side of the story. Actually, this might work out better in your favor.
True. Yeah,
So
other Amy, we're on the working theory that she might have died. I hope not, because my podcast would be really bad if I didn't have two Amy's on it. But my other assumption is that she may have just gotten the times mixed up, and so she may or may not pop in at some point during this show. I don't know. Well, this is why women shouldn't podcast, because
is it?
We're bad at it. Yeah.
There's only one reason.
Yep, that's the only one.
So what I like to do on this show is to interview people who are much more accomplished than me. And if they're not more accomplished than me, at least they have done things I haven't done. So I can live vicariously through you. And then I can mention how awesome ReasonCon used to be. And then Jeannie and Deborah have to drink in the chat room. So you were at Skepticon last weekend, and I believe it was the first magical, actual in-person meeting between you and Amy, who have done how many podcast episodes
almost 80. I mean, more than that if you include our bonus episodes, but I think our official count is at episode 79. And we've done other people's shows like yours with each other. We've talked on the phone, but this whole time I've been assuming she was a catfish. And so getting to meet her was like, it's been 2 years and I get to actually meet my catfish. And it turned out she looked just like the person I had been talking to online this whole time. And we recorded our initial meeting and put it on. I don't know if I put it in we have the Secret Soup Talk group, which is, we have a regular Facebook page, and then we have the Secret Soup Talk, which is just a private group fans can get into and talk. And I think I either live streamed it to that or I recorded it and forgot to put it anywhere, but it's somewhere out there. People will get to see it if they want to. I just recorded us meeting for the first time. It was magical. Sparks were flying. I think there may have been confetti coming down out of the air from nowhere. And yeah, it was amazing. I recognized her right away. We hugged. It was awesome. She likes to joke about how, she doesn't joke. She says that in person, she's much more quiet and reserved and just not the same person she is on the show. But I don't believe that. Her jokes are a lot snarkier and quieter in real life. Like, she comes up with the zingers and kind of says them under her breath, but they're even funnier that way. So yeah, no, she's the same person in the real world as she is online, mostly.
And because it's on brand, I have to show it now. Usually I drink Dragon's Milk. This time I'm drinking the Reserve Maple Oak. So it's like Dragon's Milk, but with like maple syrup added. So just think bourbon barrel with a bit of maple, and there's like a slightly bitter finish, and sometimes the sweeter adjuncts don't help it, but I still enjoy it. And sometimes they do ones that I don't like, and this is a good one.
I'm drinking tap water. This came right out of my sink upstairs. It's not even filtered. It just came right out. Oh, nice.
I feel like I've never actually, this is still in its virginal state in my Zachrilege soup. And of course, not the first one.
I love it. No, Tom and Cecil got the first ones. This is the original soup mug the first one I ever made. Secular soup. So Amy with an I has a matching one to this, and then Marissa also has a purple one. And I think a couple more people got these purple ones before I couldn't find the purple ones anymore. So I think Rich might have. I don't remember. But yeah,
number one on the Rich list, or is he down?
Well, editor Rich is still number one on the Rich list, and I got to meet him for the first time this weekend as well. And Rich and Deanna Joy Lyons, who are fucking amazing people. Like, they're cool online, and Deanna does our intro for us. She's the one that reads our whole intro thing, and she's got the most calm, quiet, chill voice on the planet. And getting to have conversations with her, listening to that voice, it was surreal, because I'm used to hearing her on podcasts talking about very serious things. And we just had all these fun chats while we were out being dirty smokers, because we were two of the only people that smoked. So maybe I'm not supposed to tell people she smokes. She was outside with me while I was smoking, and yeah, we would have fun conversations, and Rich was fantastic. And yeah, that was kind of the best thing about the whole conference was everybody I met was at least 50% better than they are online. And they're pretty cool online. So meeting them in person was just like, not a single one of these people is terrible in the real world. You're never sure when you're just interacting with people online, but it was amazing, Zach. You missed out.
What's the show that the Lions do? Because that was one of my early podcasts that dropped off.
They used to do Living After Faith, and I think they are officially going to archive the show. Like they may be just kind of done with it. I think. I'm not entirely sure. I know they haven't put out an episode in a little while because Rich has been editing for us and editing for Nathan Dickey's show, and just doing a lot of his time's been spent doing that, and we are grateful for that because we get free editing and it's really good editing. But I think they may be ready to finish up Living After Faith, and which, it's been a show for a long time, and it's one that if you haven't ever listened to it, you should go back and just listen to their back catalog because they have amazing episodes where they do some great interviews. And it's especially for people who've come out of an evangelical religion or really just any kind of real serious religion, I guess. It's good to kind of listen to two people who are working their way through that. But yeah, just fucking amazing. We recorded an absolute clusterfuck of an episode while we were there. Like we had talked to Rich about, we should do an episode while we're, while we're there, just, because we're meeting for the first time. And so at some point we were all sitting around a table, Rich and Deanna and me and Amy and a couple other people just chatting. And I'm like, so when do we want to record this? And he's like, I don't know why we're not recording just this coffee conversation we're having. So we went up to his room and had about 15 people in a circle. And he had brought some little doodad microphone thing that he was going to record with. And then we all had to record separately on our phones and then send him the audio. So I'm sure he's working on it right now, and I don't think I can say I'm sorry enough times to him because, oh my God, getting like 15 people into a room and trying to do a podcast, not good. Way too many. Plus, when some of them have been drinking already, oh God, it was, I felt like I was running a kindergarten classroom and doing a really bad job at it. So I think we got a few good things out of it, but yeah.
I'm pretty sure the drunkest I've ever been on a podcast is when Professor Steven at I think the first Reason Con, he had there was a room where he was just interviewing people. And I think out of the 10 people, I was tied for first for drunkest. And he was asking me the kind of questions a presuppositionalist would ask an atheist. And I was like, I don't know. I never heard this question before. It was just bad.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I just love you, man. And and then there was all this we're going to record. And one thing when you go to an atheist conference, half the people have recording devices and half the people probably have a drinking problem. But that's okay too. It's all good.
Only half, yeah.
Yeah.
We got to watch Callie Wright recorded an episode of her show Saturday morning. I think it's Ashton P. Woods was there. He's running for mayor of Houston, and he's an open atheist, and he had given a couple different talks there. And so we got to go and just kind of sit in and watch her record that episode with him. And he was amazing. We all just sat and even Callie was at a loss for words interviewing him because he's just so passionate about what he's talking about. And after that happened, Amy's like, go ask him if he can be on our show. Go ask him. I'm like, I don't want to, you go ask him. Oh, okay. So finally, I kind of sheepishly went up. I'm like, we have a show if you'd ever want to be on it. And he, of course, was gracious and said yes and gave me his phone number and is amazing. And hopefully we'll get him onto the show. But I feel like, and I told him this, you may not want to be associated with our show. I'm not so sure we're great for political candidates to associate with. So, but Ashton P. Woods, go check him out and give money to his campaign because he's amazing and he's running for mayor in Houston. But yeah, we got to watch Callie.
Atheist, you're automatically.
Yeah.
You don't need to be on your show. It's smeared. It's already there.
Yeah. He's he participated in one of the panel conversations about what to do if you're an ally of a community and people in that disenfranchised community disagree about what's oppressive and what's not, which was a really interesting conversation because, you know, as someone who tries to be an ally, it does come up sometimes. What if you have different people in those marginalized communities? One of them is telling you this is okay and one's telling you it's not. And how do you navigate that? And I think that's the cool thing about Skepticon is their workshops and talks were all really interesting stuff that I hadn't heard discussed before, or like just new things that it wasn't the typical, what's it like to be an atheist? Or, you know, I don't know. It was a lot of good talks, most of which I didn't go to because I was too busy watching Amy with and I get drunk and ordering pizza and hanging out with Maddie and Hertzie. And I kind of felt like they should just skip all the workshops and just make it a big social convention because that's what everybody wants to do there is just hang out. Basically.
Yeah, I was going to ask the question, like from my conference experience, I feel like there are like two kinds of conference goers. The ones who are like, I'm going to see all the speakers and that's why I'm here. And then the other people are like, I'm just here to hang out with people and I may not see an entire thing. You did a little bit of both in your...
Yeah, I mostly hit the latter portion of it. And mainly because since Amy and I and Rich and Deanna and I were all meeting for the first time and we only had one weekend, we wanted to like cram all this time into one weekend. And I tried to go to, maybe 2 of the talks, but I mean the rest, and they have a big event called Skeptiprom at Skepticon. So it's basically a prom for grown-ups. So I wore this epic Princess Elsa dress from the movie Frozen, for those of you who don't have kids or don't pay attention to Disney films. So I had this amazing Disney princess dress with my crown and a full set of over-the-top costume jewelry. And Amy had like a tutu and this, it was just, I thought it's nice to live in a world where a 42-year-old can dress up like Elsa and everybody just finds it fantastic instead of ridiculous. So I managed to stay up past 12 for the first time in years. I, along with Mandisa Thomas and Callie Wright, was one of the last 3 people at the Skeptiprom, so that's huge for me. I'm bragging about that everywhere. But yeah, I had exactly 1 drink at Skeptiprom, and that's all I needed to pretty much be drunk. We met so many people who we've talked to online or who are fans of our shows that, yeah, they just, like I was saying earlier, they all turned out to be so amazing. I just realized that I still have my space heater on, and it's probably making way too much noise. So maybe I should.
I'm not a sound purist like
God.
Noah from Skating Atheist, who's like, I don't leave my air conditioning on. My air conditioning's on right now.
Yeah,
and
Rich.
Cat will be scratching at the door at some point. I'm like, oh, I didn't put any sound dampening. I'm like,
Oh,
okay.
hey, did you say cat? Come here.
Yo, you're
Yeah, someone said cat. Look, come on. Oh boy. Oh, that's a big cat. Yeah, I missed my cats while I was gone, but
kids are just cats.
Here's a sad thing, and I told Amy this. I would FaceTime my kids every night to say goodnight, but on Saturday night, they put my brand new cat on camera. And I thought, oh God, I miss her more than anybody in the house. I'm such a bad mom, but I want to get back to my kitty. She's so beautiful. Speaking of which, I did a great, I had printed out some pictures of my cats before Skepticon and brought them all the way to St. Louis with me so that when Amy wasn't looking, I could slip the pictures under her hotel room door so that she could just come back to her hotel room and find printed out pictures of my cats. So she was pretty excited about that.
That's the way to go.
I told her she can keep them. We also finally got to meet John Willis from Wayward Willis, whose shirt I just want to point out, in case you're out there, Willis. I'm wearing your shirt. I have not drawn dicks on it yet, but that is my plan. At some point, I'm going to get some fabric markers out and just draw dicks all over these sheep, which I told him, so it's fair. He knew going into it that was going to happen. Yeah, we got to have dinner with him, which... You know, the party line is that he's a horrible person and we're feuding with him and his podcast is garbage. But in reality, he was a delightful person and so was his girlfriend. And he had these 2 amazing dogs. And even that was just like, oh my God, I get to meet the coolest people. I brought him this box of random thrift shop stuff because he had donated to one of our Get Us to St. Louis campaigns. And the prize was that you got something random from my thrift shop. So I made him an entire box of garbage basically to bring to him. And I recorded him unboxing the whole thing. So that video still needs to make it up onto, I think I'm going to put it on our Patreon page for the patrons just to entice some people in case they want to see our podcast feuder, Willis, opening up a whole box of garbage I bought him. So good times. We ordered a pizza and yeah, it's a fun conference.
So clearly I need to up my extras game. I need to do like beer openers or something, something different than I remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
5 shirts that I made for the show and they're all gone.
I was just impressed that he actually had merch at the ready just to give people. Like he had a box of shirts. I have 2 shirts and I ordered them specifically for me. Amy has 1 shirt and that's all the more I'm willing to spend money on. So there are 3 Secular Soup shirts in existence, but I thought I'd try wearing this one and see if I break out into a rash by the time this show is over, because Willis is known for spreading diseases to people. So I thought maybe through his clothing.
Part of the brand? That's not a good
brand. It's very on brand for him. There was something else I was telling you, Amy started drinking. I did live stream Amy and Hertzie being drunk onto our Secret Soup Talk page. It was really funny. And then I felt bad the next day and took it down. So if you were in our Secret Soup Talk group, you may have gotten to see that video. It was fucking hilarious. But yeah, then I felt bad and Amy wanted it taken down. And I'm like, yeah, I don't disagree. So I just unceremoniously deleted it. But Hertzie was drinking. The 2 of them were having a drinking contest. Hertzie from Atheist Talk, if people watching don't know that.
You should know.
You should know, yes. But the 2 of them were having a drinking contest, and then Hertzie was trying to order a pizza because none of us wanted to talk on the phone, but she's like, I'll do it. So she's talking, and I'm recording it, and all of a sudden she's like, yeah, my cell phone number is 2. And I'm like, shit, I got to stop recording this. So I started over, and then she gets to, yeah, my credit card number is 5. I'm like, God damn it, Hertzie. I have to keep restarting this so people don't get your credit card number. But then she was telling the pizza guy, can you call us when you get here? Is it okay if someone else answers my phone, like when you call? Because I'm really drunk. So if somebody else answers the phone and it's not me, is that going to be okay? And we had to assure her that the pizza person would not care if somebody else answered her cell phone. They wouldn't, in fact, know if it was her. And yeah, good times. She sobered up by the time we finished eating pizza. So, but yeah, good time. Oh, Marissa Alexa McCool got married at Skepticon on Sunday, right before we left.
Heard that.
So she got married to Devin, who we'd met Marissa before, but we hadn't met Devin or Aiden. Or Murph, I think, is kind of the newest person in their family. And Devin and Aiden, just what fucking amazing people. Like Amy and I were both just, oh my God, they're so awesome. Just talking to them. Devin was in on our 15-person podcast. And yeah, they had this just cool little kind of small wedding. We got to be there for it and see it. And as soon as we were over, we were like, yeah, time to go back to Minnesota. We're all tired. We can't stay any longer. 8-hour drive home. And yeah, so I'm really wondering if Amy's dead now, because I still haven't heard from her. And it's like a repeat of this weekend when I had to keep texting her, are you dead? And she wouldn't respond to me. And I thought it was going to be a real bad outcome, because then I would have texted all these times, are you dead? And then if she really was dead, I was going to look really bad in those text messages. So turned out she wasn't. She came to the Skeptiprom also. Yeah, we took a bunch of fun pictures at Skeptiprom. I got to walk around looking like a princess. I feel like there's so much more to tell, and now I can't think of any of it. Do you have more questions?
It's cool.
You're the interviewer.
That Callie do the wedding because
yes,
at the end of NanoCon, last year's version, she got married, and that was like the great gathering. And then Usually you go to a wedding and there's like a reception. In that case, the second it was over, everybody's like, okay, gotta go, got a flight, I'm driving home.
Yep.
Done. It's like, good to see everybody, but
yeah, that's pretty much what this was. And
case you have a certain amount of time and then you're done.
Callie officiated and did a beautiful job. And Devin and Marissa did their own vows, which were amazing. I'm not a crier, but even I was tearing up a little bit because it was just so sweet. And yeah, they did kind of a little partial receiving line. Those of us that were kind of standing there all got hugs and, congratulations. And then everyone was, going back home now. It's just, we all wanted to stay and watch. Jeremiah had a talk. He was giving it, I think, 2 or 3. And Ari and Jeremiah, who I also got to meet, who were amazing. And I wanted to stay and see his talk, but it was just like, oh God, we just need to go home. We're not even going to get home till 12:30 as it is. So yeah, I saw Ari and Jeremiah in the elevator and it blew my mind. I was just going upstairs and I turned around and saw a dog. And I'm like, dog? Ari has a dog. And I looked up and it was Ari and then Jeremiah. And I'm like, oh my God, it's Ari. I had to say Amy with a Y because I'm sure they had no idea who I was.
Hello,
and then
hello, come on.
Yeah, they were so cool. We talked to them for a long time at the Skepticon. They were super fun. At one point, I went and decided I was going to get a drink because I never drink. So I'm like, screw it, I'll have one drink. And I went and asked the bartender, like, what's the girliest drink that you make? Because I don't drink and I don't want to taste the alcohol. And he's like, oh, well, I'll give you this. It's got this and this and this, these different kinds of juices. And I'm like, great, that sounds good. So I took it and I was drinking it. It tasted really good. And Aiden came up to me and said, what is that? It looks really good. And I'm like, I don't remember what it's called, but it's got a lot of different juices in it. And I think I had half the drink down. I'm like, yeah, you can't even taste the alcohol. It's so good. I said, I'll go back to the bar with you and ask the guy what it was. But there was no fucking alcohol in that drink. I wasn't clear enough when I said, what's the girliest? So I'm like, is there any No. I'm like, oh, could you put some alcohol in it? Yeah, I can do that.
Yes.
Like, let me give you a few more dollars. Just dump some vodka in there. It's fine. I did hear back from Amy.
Yeah, I saw it. Like, I'm going to be a while. I'm like,
oh, yeah.
What do you mean, how long is a while?
Yeah, I'm just going to text her back quick and just put, we may.
She's for you.
This is how podcasting works, people who are watching live. We're having a business meeting right now. This is kind of what we do. We may be see, now I can't podcast and think at the same time. Oh, we may be done by then.
Probably.
It was a live scheduled. I could just call her, but I'm not going to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Not a big.
Did you order a pizza?
Could you get me a pizza? I'm really hungry. Oh my gosh, here's a treat. Come here. Hold on 1 second. Come here. Come here. Oh boy. Anybody who listens to my show knows this face.
Oh, wow.
This is Lady Shoo Shoo.
2 kitties.
Oh, come on. This is the one I really, really missed this weekend.
We monetize these cats.
This is my new cat. My 15-year-old son actually just started an Instagram page just for my cats, and he's lurking around the corner. So if you want to follow my cats on Instagram, I think the name is Chappy Shoo Shoo, all run together. So ChappyChouchou, Chappy Shoo Shoo. I'm sure I could put that in a show note somewhere. I don't know. But it's literally just my 15-year-old taking pictures of my cats. Yeah, Chappy was already on the screen. He can go away. There was a huge demand.
Seen you, cat. You're done.
The people want to see my gorgeous cats, and so I had to make an Instagram just for them. People never get sick of hearing about my cats, ever. I talk about them constantly, and people love it. Except they don't. One of the things, yeah. Go ahead.
I was saying, like, one of the reasons why, like, oh, I'm still on Facebook is because it keeps posting pictures from 4 years ago because we got our cats 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And all these, like, kitten pictures. I'm like, I have to share it. It's like, yes, because they were so tiny, and now they're
everybody needs to see these
cute.
I like sharing pictures of my cats more than pictures of my kids, frankly, because my cats just do cuter things, you know? My kids are cute, but they're cute to me. Like, that's the thing about kids. You always think your own kids are adorable, and then other people's kids are kind of like, yeah. But cats, Everybody loves a cat. Yeah, one of the things I gave John Willis was a framed photo of my cats in a nice little silver frame that I told him he had to keep for the rest of his life, and I snuck it onto his mantle before I left his house. So that picture better fucking be there, John. I'll be really, really mad. He had some really cool, apparently he's a Star Wars nerd, so he had like lightsabers up on his mantle. Just Amy and I were going to have a lightsaber fight before we left, and then we totally forgot about it, so that was a lost opportunity. But yeah, he's now got a picture of both my cats that he better keep forever.
If you're at a conference, atheists are involved, over under on like, Spock ears or like lightsabers. Not to mix Star Wars and Star Trek. Some people get upset about that sort of thing.
Everybody there was a Star Wars and Star Trek nerd. Total nerds. Yeah, we had to, on our way home, apparently we were going through Riverside, Iowa, which to me is that's just a town in Iowa. I have no idea, but the other three, I was riding with Maddie Love, her wife, and then Hertzie. The four of us drove together, and they're like, is it okay if we stop in this town just really quick for like 2 minutes? And they had to explain to me that it's the future birthplace of Captain Kirk, I think. Mm-hmm. I don't follow Star Trek. I don't know. But I assume Captain Kirk. And then I was like, I don't understand why it's the future birth. Was he not born yet? And they had to explain the whole, he's in the Star Trek universe, it's in the future. So yeah, it's a whole thing. But that town actually has little banners on all of its light posts, and they have a little memorial, or I guess it's not even a memorial because he hasn't been born there yet, but they have this little statue plaque thing. So everybody had to get out and take a picture next to it. And I waited in the car and looked at pictures of my cats because, but yeah, lots of Star Trek nerds, lots of Star Wars nerds. I don't know anything about either one of them. So I guess I was the odd one out at this convention. But
so
for anyone,
you could sell like to atheists, like, hey, I don't drink and I'm not like into Star Wars or Star Trek, and I had a great time. So there you go.
Totally. Like, I'm not into nerd stuff unless it's musical theater. Totally into musical theater, but the atheist musical theater community isn't that huge, surprisingly. Like, it's not. There's some of us, but it's not a huge thing. So yeah, if you're going to go to an atheist convention, you're much more likely to get into a deep discussion about Star Trek and what it has to do with humanism. Yeah. And then Star Wars and whether Star Wars is better than Star Trek or vice versa. And which Star Wars is better than the other Star Wars. And I just sit there looking like a deer in headlights because I have no fucking idea. But if you want to talk to me about musical theater from 1995 and beyond, I'm your expert. And yeah, I think I'm the only one who doesn't drink either. Everybody had just bottles of liquor in their hotel rooms. And I'm like, I feel so out of place here. Amy actually they went to the liquor store and they found something on sale called vodka.
Oh.
Which, as you might guess, is a mix between vodka and tequila, and it was on sale. So they had to get a whole bunch of vodka. I don't know who ended up with that by the end of the trip because Amy was never going to drink again. So I think somebody's got a bunch of vodka out there. Deanna and Rich probably tried it. Yeah. I was like, no, I'm going to stay away from that.
But I can remember driving home from ReasonCon the last time, and the hangover and getting like fast food on the way home, and like that might saving my life. And I think it was like 3 a.m, like going for a walk by myself because I'm like, this will sober me up. No, unless I walk for 4 hours. Yeah, not going to happen. So there you go. So it worked out very well. So musical theater, is there good musical theater up there in the Minnesota land?
What the fuck, Chappie? Hold on. Don't do that.
Yeah, tell a cat not to do
ruining my podcast. Don't do that.
Good luck with that.
Anyway, yeah, we don't get a ton of musical theater here in Minnesota, but we do get the traveling Broadway shows. So when they're on tour, they always stop in Minneapolis. So I used to try to see 1 or 2 shows a year, but then I got all poor. So now I can't justify spending money on Broadway tickets. I have to spend it on my mortgage and boring shit like that, which is why it's nice that our show has patrons, because that's how we could both afford to go to Skepticon. Like, we would not have been able to afford to get the hotel rooms and to pay for the gas money and eat while we were there. So it was nice to be able to use the Patreon money for that and for vodka. So to any of our patrons out there,
You have paid for vodka.
You bought Amy some vodka and she got really, really drunk. So totally worth it. But yeah, we definitely want to go back next year. Yeah, slurp even this. Even if it's vodka.
So and the people who are listening, you're not going to get this amazing audio. So the whole penis thing started a joke, right? I had a question on here somewhere. Like, so when you were like drawing dick number 100 on a soup mug, do you think to yourself, "This is my calling"?
I kind of do. Like, it's amazing that I can just go through life drawing dicks on things when I really had zero interest in this like a year or two ago. The only reason I did it was because I was making Tom and Cecil soup mugs. And since we're podcast feuding with them too, I had to think like, what is offensive that I can put on these soup bowls that they'll definitely notice? So I put them on the bottom because I thought it'd be funny if they use the mug, because then you tip it up and there's just dicks all over the bottom. But I thought I have to do more than one because they suck and we're feuding with them. So I put at least 3 on each one. But then it turned, once people saw that, they were like, I want a dick on mine too. So, oh my God. Now it's this whole, now I have to, and then it turned into the more I like you, the less dicks you have on your mug. So the fact that you only have one, I think you and Rich, second favorite Rich, are the only two that only have one. So, yeah. Yeah, Larry, Yelling Man from Man Yells at News, requested a mug specifically with as many dicks as I could fit on the mug. That one was fun. I mean, I got to sit and basically play Tetris with them and figure out where I could fit more dicks on that. It's a work of art. But yeah, as time goes on, I'm like, I'm fucking 42 and I'm drawing dicks on things. How did it come to this? This is what happens when you start a podcast. But now that it's a thing then I had to do it for Wayward Willis's mug because we're feuding. We're basically feuding with everybody. And if we're not feuding with them, we're breaking up their podcast. It's kind of our calling card. So now that we had Eli Bosnick on our show, we're working on breaking up their show too. But there's 3 of them instead of 2. So it's a little tougher when it's 3 guys on a show. We're going to have a whole new strategy. I don't know. I did at one point during the Skeptiprom, somebody came up. I had brought these little cards with our podcast name on them. And some guy came up and he's like, so what do these table centerpieces look like to you? Because somebody had made them and they were supposed to be bottles of like blood of children or I don't know, something weird. And he's like, so what do those look like? And I'm like, it looks like a baby bottle. It's like, yeah, that's what most people are saying they look like. I'm like, that's definitely what it looks like. And we got to chatting. I'm like, hey, I have a podcast that you should listen to. I was just aggressively marketing. He's like, okay. I'm like, do you know who Eli Bosnick is? Yes. I'm like, if you like Eli Bosnick, you need to listen to our show. Here's the card. Take 5. Tell all of your friends. So he better be fucking listening to this show because I'm going to be so mad. Then we got to meet Don Ford Jr., who does some voices on Scathing Atheist and God Awful Movies. Hertzie knew him, so he came to breakfast with us, and he sat down and looked at Amy and I and said, I was just listening to your show. And that had to have been the highlight of the whole weekend. Like, what? For real? You're not just saying, like, he had just been listening to our show, and it blew my mind. Maddie got one of those in the elevator. I was talking to Maddie, and someone right behind her said, are you Maddie? Are you Maddie Love? And she's like, yeah. And he said, oh, I listen to Atheist Talk. I love your show. And I think her heart just melted. Like, oh my, there's people out there that actually hear the things that we do. And it's not just us yelling into a microphone, which is always super cool. So
yeah, I like the Atheist Talk because it got to be the earliest time during the day that I got to be on a podcast and still drink. So it was like, I think it was like 9 on a Sunday. And I'm like, of course I'm going to have a beer,
Yeah.
But I can't curse, but I don't really, when it comes to cursing, I don't usually lead. So I usually follow and I'm like, yeah, go ahead. So I was like, I think it'll be fine.
I don't even know how to podcast without swearing anymore. So if I go on Atheist Talk, it's so hard because you can't swear in there because they're on the actual radio. So you have to rein yourself in and be like, I could actually get in trouble for this. Like I can't, but it's second nature now. Swearing is just what I do when I'm podcasting or doing anything else. So how do you stop yourself from swearing? Like, oh my God.
So you had like Eli Bosnick do kind of your closing on your show.
We did.
When you had him on your show recently, was that the first time he was on?
It was, yeah. In fact, it was the first time we'd ever really talked to him. Like, the story behind that soup creed is, before we started the show, I had contacted Tom and Cecil, just sent them a message on Facebook and said, we're starting this podcast and we're going to feud with you, just so you know. Like, we were just telling them ahead of time, we will be feuding with you. You can participate or not, but we're going to do it. Just wanted to give you a heads up. And they wrote back, cool, we're always up for a podcast feud. And then when we came up with the soup creed, I sent Cecil a message and wanted him to do it. I'm like, is there any way I could talk you into doing this so we could put it at the end of our shows? And I wanted him to like do an impression of Tom while he was doing it, because I thought that would be funny. But he's the one that, like, actually I think it'd be funnier if Eli did it. And if you changed, he came up with the Slurpee than this line. So he's like, I think if you worded it this way, and I'm like, you would get so Cecil talked to Eli and got Eli to record it and then sent it to us. So I had never talked to Eli before. He just was kind enough to record something that he had no idea where it was going to or whose it was, and sent it to us and let us use it. And I had messaged him a year or so ago just asking him to be on the show, and he had agreed to do it. I just never followed up on it because I'm lazy, and that's why women shouldn't podcast. But I finally got back to him and got a specific date nailed down, and he did it. And I wrote questions down, which is very unlike me. And yeah, it went really well. We had so much fun talking to him and talking over him mainly, and getting his ideas on things while we continued talking over him. But he said that's one thing that would have made it better, is to have had him and the scathing guys there, or even Cod Dis. I hate to say it, but having Tom and Cecil there, I mean, that would have been okay, you know, meeting them. I guess they're too big to go to stuff like that. So,
well, when you invited Eli on your show, did you have to have a bet between the Amy's as to when toaster porn would come up?
We didn't. That was something that really came up quite organically, surprisingly enough.
Yes, that's a good turn.
Okay, yes, I see. Okay, my son is showing me that he's updating Instagram. So go check out our cat Instagram, because there's a new picture on it. Yeah, no, the toaster porn thing, that was all Eli, and that was spur of the moment. He's a real pro. So he came up with toaster porn all on his own at the last minute. Like I said, we had some questions at the beginning, but it just evolved from there. And that's kind of what our show always does. So yeah, it was a good time. I think the highlight of my entire trip to Skepticon, even though I've said there were many highlights, the true highlight was that my Elsa dress that I wore was constructed in a way that I could get it onto myself, but not back off, because of how it fit and where the zip, like I literally had to have somebody else pull it off of me from the top. And so my original plan was Maddie was going to do that, or Amy, or Hertzie, or Deanna, or any of the people I was hanging out with. Someone was going to do it for me. And then I stayed up later than all of them and totally forgot about it. So I'm the last person up going, how the fuck am I going to get this? I'm going to have to cut it off of myself because I can't get it off. And everybody went to bed. So I'm outside smoking, and I look in and I see Deanna and Rich standing there with Callie and Mandisa. And I'm like, oh my God, I run back in quick. I'm like, Deanna, I can't get my dress off and everybody went to bed. What am I going to do? And Mandisa kind of looks, she's like, what? I'm like, I need help getting my dress off. And she's like, oh, I got this. I got you. And I just like, really? So I got to go back up to Mandisa's room and have her take off my dress for me so that I could put pajamas on. And it was amazing. So I told everyone in my secret soup talk group, go ahead and spread that rumor. Mandisa took my dress off for me. It was everything I thought it would be. So amazing. Nobody else can really, maybe other people can say that, but I'm the first one I've heard saying it, that Mandisa Thomas took my dress off for me, and it was fantastic. So if nothing else, I got that out of this weekend. I got to see her and Callie getting drunk. That was fun. Just seeing all these really professional people get really drunk is a good time, because usually Callie is very serious and professional and just cool. And yeah, drunk Callie was also amazing. So was drunk Mandisa, and drunk Amy, and drunk Maddie, and drunk Hertzie, and Drunk everybody but me.
Drunk everybody.
Drunk everybody but me. I tried to have my...
A Skepticon good experience, something you might try to do again?
I would give it 10
going to do it
stars.
again next year?
10 stars out of 10, and we definitely want to go back next year. So the only thing that would keep me from going back next year is if Amy really did die. So she better not do that between now and then, because I really want to go back. Everybody that I talked to wants to go back next year. We had such a blast. And I would, even though I didn't make it to a lot of the talks were very interesting. And the ones that friends of mine went to, they all loved them. And they had great speakers and great topics. They had a great merch room. I got to meet Dr. Daryl Ray. He was there. Another person who I hear him on podcasts all the time. And then I hear him talking and I turn and it's just him. And he's standing there and he had a table for the recovering from religion. So we got to see that and got to see how their whole hotline works. I got to meet the person who wrote the Brick Bible, which I think is huge, but everybody else is like, what's the Brick Bible? Like, it's the Lego Bible. Everybody's seen it. So I got to meet the person who wrote that. And yeah, Nick Fish was there from American Atheists. Mandisa was there. It's always a good time when Mandisa's there. Yeah, highly recommend. Definitely more people need to go because it was big, but it was not big enough. We need more people at the Skeptiprom. It's just cool to be able to get dressed up once in a while. I live in the Midwest and I'm 42. I don't get to dress up that often. So bringing out the tiara and getting the dress and everything.
Just for podcast, right?
Yes.
I was kind of hoping Amy and I would show up like for the last 2 seconds of the show, but it sounds like that's not happening.
Yeah, she had to pick up her
co-hosts and have a backup. At least one person shows up.
That's true. You get one of us, and that's 50% is good. So, yeah, she was late picking up her kids, and it's a whole thing. Again, children, don't have kids if you're going to be a podcaster. It sucks. You just can't. They ruin everything. Cats are fine. You can have cats, but kids ruin your podcast. And they whine when you're going to leave for 4 whole days to go to St. Louis. They're like, how am I going to get through 4 days without you? And it turned out they were fine. They lived. I got to spend 4 whole days away from my home and nobody died. So yeah, I was excited to go and it turned out even better than I thought it was going to. So the only complaint I have is the hotel they had it in needs some work. There were some problems with the hotel, but even then, totally fun. Can't recommend enough. 11 stars out of 10. Everybody go to Skepticon next year. It's going to be the weekend of August 14th in St. Louis. It's great because it's this spot right in the middle of the country. So no matter where you live, like it's right in the middle. It was an equal distance for Amy and I. It's free. It's like the only free atheist conference that you don't have to buy a ticket to. They run totally on donations. They have a code of conduct, which I hear is a negative for some people in the atheist community. Yeah. So if you really like going to conferences just to be a dick to people, probably don't go to this one because they don't put up with that. But if you want to go to have fun and meet people and have a great time, this is the one to go to. Yeah, I didn't have to worry about awkward dudes in elevators hitting on me. That never happened, so that was good. Yeah, met all kinds of random people that I had tons in common with. Just going outside to smoke, you meet like 4 or 5 people that are there at the conference, and found someone to help me out with video stuff for the podcast, and good time. I wish I was still there, but now I'm home working and talking to you. So yeah.
Downer. So sorry.
I know. So yeah, Amy apologizes that she couldn't be here.
Yeah, like, can I come on? I'm like, yeah, we'll be asleep in about 20 minutes. So probably not.
It was a time zone thing. You could have her on just by herself, just to get back at me if you want. I mean, I'm sure she'd be up for it. She drinks a lot more, so she's more fun. You should have her on just to talk shit about me and see what she has to say. I'm up.
Bring up a podcast, so to speak.
Yeah, or we can feud with our own podcast because feuding with other podcasts is getting old. And we do like breaking up dudes podcasts, but we haven't tried breaking up a female-led podcast. So yeah, we could go for that.
So did you, well, this is assuming you had any respect for me beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Did you lose all respect when I actually had Cogdis on my show?
I mean, I was disappointed. I didn't lose all respect. I just had that feeling
the first
like
ever recording from the new Glory Hole Studios.
Like,
at least I have that going for me.
It's like when you're a mom and your kid just does something that really lets you down.
The Secular Soup mug on the floor. I didn't see that.
Probably. I think they probably stomped on them. And they had Eli's bowl too, and they wrecked that. So I made sure to ask him about that on our show.
Why did they have Eli's bowl again?
Because when I sent it, I didn't want to have to get Eli's home address because that was just weird. Although I did get it eventually, but he made me promise never ever to dox him or his wife. So I pinky sweared I would never do that. But he was going to be in town for Tom's wedding the weekend I was sending them. So Tom and Cecil were like, yeah, just send his because he's coming for this wedding anyway. And then we'll all get him at the same time. You only have to send one box. It works out great. But they didn't get it until like after Eli left. So they still had his. And then they broke in the mail. Well, they broke in the mail. I think they broke when they got them, and they just smashed them to bits. And so, yeah, Eli.
That would have been good video bonus.
Funny. Yeah, just get a sledgehammer out and make a video, and we're up for that. We love feuding. They're really bad at feuding. We feud at them, and they never feud back at us. So I guess you could say they're winning because they just ignore us, and that's how they feud. But
I think they're probably winning. I feel like they're winning because, like,
yeah, they make a lot more money. So
podcasters who have, I think, like enough people following them and supporting them for them to do it, but they have like day jobs. They're both like, meh. This is just a hobby we do, and it really is.
Oh my god, they make a shitload of money for a hobby, man. Oh, I go on Patreon and I die a little bit every time I see how much they make and Scathing makes, and oh my god. I want that. I did ask Eli how to get that sweet Puzzle in a Thunderstorm money, but he didn't have any solid ideas for me, so I don't know.
Give away your secrets. I totally understand that.
That's true. I think being a dude is one of the secrets. So I'm going to assume that everybody who gives them money is sexist for not giving us money. Yeah.
Dude, dudes.
Yeah. No, they're just
with another dude lawyer. Hello.
Yeah, there's that dude lawyer too. That we need to break up Opening Arguments because that's another show that's just ripe for breaking up. Like Thomas and Andrew, I don't think it would be hard to break those two up. I'm not sure how we do it, but yeah, just start spreading rumors between the two of them.
200-ish episodes. I think two people had wine, and Andrew was drinking some wine during our episode, which was kind of nice.
I think if we just sent Thomas a message that was like, Andrew said the worst thing about you, and then we sent one to Andrew that said the same thing about Thomas. Amy and I were both teenage girls once, so I think we could do that. You'll never believe what he said. He said you're the worst podcaster.
Second industry for you. Oh, yeah. Amy, so good time for the call tonight, huh?
Yeah.
So where do people find the show, especially when you rebroadcast this to your Secular Soup people?
You mean
know where to find you?
When we steal your content so we don't have to create our own because we're frankly tired and lazy. You can find us at Secular Soup on all of the podcast platforms. Just go into your iTunes or your Google, whatever Google uses, or Stitcher, whatever. We're on all of them. Look for Secular Soup. Our website is delightfulbitchcraft.com. And you will find all the stuff about the podcast there, but also our Etsy shop where we make really, really inappropriate crafts. I need to add some things to it because it's been stagnant for a while and I need to put some new shit on there. But if you want really inappropriate crafts, delightfulbitchcraft.com. That's our Etsy shop is Delightful Bitchcraft and our website. But podcast Secular Soup, look us up. We've been on Zach's show, I don't know, 2 or 3 times now. Something like that.
Your third time, Amy, if she can figure out time zones.
Yeah, I really think you should. We're not good at time zones. Math comes into it, and we're ladies, and we don't do math. So, what are you gonna do? We just wing it. But yeah, find us on the Facebooks. I'm on the Twitter now. I can feud with other podcasts better through Twitter. So yeah, I like to feud with Wayward Willis podcast, but he's gonna owe me for the rest of his life for wearing this stupid shirt. So. It's probably the only time I'm ever going to wear at Willis until I draw dicks on it.
Exactly.
Don't listen to Cognitive Dissonance no matter what you do. you're only going to get bad ideas, and you just don't want to go there. So listen to us. We have very informed opinions. We talk about very serious topics. I liked Eli's quote that this was the first episode of any show he'd done entirely in sarcasm, which was fun. I think we should aim to just do our whole show in sarcasm every single time. I'm up for it. So yeah, Secular Soup, check us out.
As long as you know what you are, I think that's a good call. And so thank you, Amy, for being on. Another Amy, well, you missed out.
See you when we
talked
see ya.
so much about you for the entire show. Oh my gosh. Amy with an I. Who does that? I don't even know.
Some chick.
All right.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for letting us come back on and steal your content.
Definitely.
Secular Soup Creed. Soup is the ultimate virtue. It's delicious, nutritious, patriarchy smashing, racism fighting, warm and fuzzy, human affirming, fun having, anti-theist, glitter throwing, tummy satisfying, pair of new shoes fulfilling, diversity seeking, happiness. Minestrone, beef and barley, chicken broth and split pea, gazpacho, tomato, clam chowder and potato, chicken noodle, beef noodle, egg drop and ramen cup, miso, gumbo, leek and pho. Grab a bowl and taste the magic. Slurp even this.